Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Shamie, Director of Staff Development at the Leadership Program. Welcome to the Leadership Lens, where we get to hear perspectives on leadership. I'm very excited to be here today with one of our principals from Mott Hall 2, Marlon Lowe. Hi, Marlon.
Hi, Greg. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, thank you for being here. I know how busy principal schedules can be, so I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us for a few minutes and share some perspectives on leadership. Just a little bit about how you got into this profession, a little bit about your journey. I'd love to hear why you do this.
Great question. I could really give you three reasons. The first, always been a man of the kids. Love children, love working with children. So any job where I could be around children primarily was a win. Second thing is, as a Brooklyn boy who came up through the public school system, I was really cognizant of some of the shortcomings of the system. And put myself on a path to do something about that, rather than just experiencing it. And finally, I've always loved social studies. I really got into this profession. I didn't start off to be the principal. I started off to be a social studies teacher who really wanted to inform children about the society in which they lived and how to make the most advantage and really be strong citizens within that society. The educational model has essentially flipped from when I was a child. I would argue that I did not, from the child perspective or the student perspective, feel that children's first philosophy that is now spread throughout the system. It did seem like a system working primarily for adults, with children taking a back seat to those priorities and needs. One of the big differences between the work I do today and the school system I was in was the large school versus small school model. Now, I do think large schools can be successful. I want to be very clear about that, and there are many that are. However, the large schools I went to, I was able to remain anonymous. And because I was a kid who, did well enough, I may not have been disrupting classes. I wasn't giving the teachers any problems, but I wasn't performing up to my ability. And that was deemed okay at the time. Whereas in the climate we have now, there is a big onus, a big push to really treat each child as individuals, make sure they're known, make sure they set goals for themselves, make sure they're working towards something larger. And if they're not meeting their full potential, there should be some sort of intervention or some sort of outreach to really facilitate that and encourage them to do better. Whereas the system of the previous years, 80 was okay. If you saw an 80, you let it go, even if the child was capable of a 95. And to me, that's unacceptable. So the goal for living is basically the constitution by which we live by. It's a value system we ask the children to subscribe to. We have things like being honest, showing integrity, being responsible, showing respect, showing generosity. And the reason why we have these things are, again, children hear a lot of times, be good people, but what does that mean? How is that defined to them? What does good mean? Such a subjective term, right? Well, we create a series of values and have these children reflect on what these things mean and how it applies to them, their circumstance, and the way they can improve their own being by subscribing to these values. And it's something, as Mott Hall Tulians, as my students are called, they all have that constitution that they live by, or aspire to, I should say.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And taking the time to sit down with us, like I said, in such a busy schedule. As you can see, Marlon is really a phenomenal role model. I've seen him in action. He's always buzzing around, moving, connecting, listening, and it's amazing. The love and the passion and the care is so visible from an outside perspective that it's completely inspiring to me. So thank you for your work. And thank you guys for joining us. I look forward to seeing you next month with another guest to share some more insights and perspectives on leadership.
Thank you, folks. Thanks for having me.